Right, you lot, so I've had a comment. Well, this can't be the only person that's thinking this. They said, how comes that when my car runs absolutely fine, but when it runs out of nitro, it's still got a little bit left in the bottom of the tank? He reckons probably 2 or 3 minutes worth. Why doesn't it just use all of it? Well, it's probably got something to do with, I mean, it could be a few things. It could be the lack of pressure, it could be a bit of a leak maybe, when it gets that low, ain't quite building up enough pressure, but the pressure should be even from a full tank right down to an empty tank. The pressure should be even, so unless there is a problem, maybe there is a leak, I can't see that being the reason. The main reason that I can think of at the moment is probably to do with where the pickup is. So on this tank, I don't know what this tank's from, it's just a random one that I've got. It's got a very bloody tough spring on it. I need to put you on the tripod in a minute so you can see this. There it is. Just down in there, that bit of plastic pipe coming down and going into that little circle inside there, that's the pickup. That goes there like that, and then that goes into there. Now that might not be, you can't really see it whether it is or it isn't. It should be in that little indent, which should mean that it gets all of the fuel up, but it might be that it's not quite all the way down. I mean, any good decent tank, this is from a HPI Savage, a very good truck. Everybody knows a Savage, you know, HPI is a good brand. A lot of people will insist that they get half tank lean with a Savage. It's a load of rubbish in my opinion. I've never experienced it, so I don't know what that's all about. People that do experience this thing where the tank goes half and then all of a sudden your engine starts to run lean, they've probably got a problem somewhere. Probably something to do with pressure. They've probably got a leak, maybe the little seal on the lid there, you've got a little red seal that might be not quite sealing properly, so that when the tank gets to halfway the pressure drops within the tank and it's not quite pushing it in as quick as it should do, causing a lean condition. I don't know, but it is not real anyway. Well, it is to some people, but to others it's not. Anyway, there's the pickup on this one there, and in the tank we can see that it's got a little filter on it. Hopefully it will focus on it at some point. You can see it though. You can see in there, I know you can, it's just not particularly well focused. But you can see the pickup goes all the way down to the bottom. It's got a little filter on the end of it, and that goes into that little indent there. And these Savages, they do suck up every last drop of nitro, and you got to remember, it's not being sucked. I know I just said they do suck up, that was a figure of speech. It's not being sucked, it's being pushed, because you've got the pipe here which connects from the exhaust. I'm going to show you on a car in a minute anyway, if you're thinking, well, I don't know. This is pressure, and it pushes the fuel through the pipes into the carburetor. So let's go and get a car and I'll show you how it works. Now I know the main comment was about why doesn't it use all the nitro up. I mean, to be honest, I have had cars in the past where it doesn't use every drop of nitro in the tank. I've never really thought anything of it, and I've not really cared about it, but that would be the main reason, is if the pickup isn't quite on the bottom of the tank and it's leaving a bit, you know, it's got to be quite close to it to get all the nitro. If there's a gap, there's going to be nitro sitting here, and it's not going to be able to get it because the pickup's got to be in it. Anyway, so this is how the fuel system works on a nitro car, right? This is just a buggy, and all nitro cars will be exactly the same, whether it's a monster truck, an on-road car, or an off-road buggy. It doesn't matter, it will be the same. A lot of people seem to think that they're gravity fed. They're not gravity fed. I've seen videos in the past where people are using their nitro cars and they're on about, they're not getting enough nitro, not getting enough fuel because there's gravity fed, and I've not got enough in the tank. It's got to be a full tank for it to be gravity fed properly. They're not gravity fed. So what happens is your engine burns a bit of nitro, right? It then makes fumes. It comes out here, and as we know, it comes out the exhaust. but there's a little baffle in here, and that redirects some of the fumes, some of the exhaust fumes, through this pipe here, which then goes up, and that goes into the top of the tank there, which is what we see on this Savage, and also on this other tank that I don't know what it is. There it is, there's the pipe still connected. So that then goes up to there. So this is now pressured. This has got pressure in it because it's coming from the exhaust. It's being pushed by the engine. It's pressurizing, and it'll be pressurizing this tank. Okay, so the tank's now under pressure. Not a lot of pressure. If you can undo the lid while it's running, and it'll still run fine. But it won't run for very long because it'll run out of fuel the minute you put the lid back on again. That's why it's important to make sure that your seal around the top there is in good condition, because if that's not sealing, it ain't gonna be pressurized, and it ain't gonna be able to push the fuel through. So this tank is now under pressure. The pressure is pushing the nitro up through the pickup tube, through this pipe here, into the carburetor. It's still under pressure, and then the engine takes over from there, because once it's pushed into the carb, the engine then starts to suck it through, and then because it's a two-stroke, it goes into the crankcase first, and then that's where it goes up and be burnt, and it happens all over again. That's why you have to prime them. You have to push a bit through to get it going. Once it's going, it's done. So cars, general cars that you drive on the road, they've got a pump, a fuel pump, whether it be diesel or petrol, they'll have a pump. Well, with nitro, the engine itself is the pump. The engine does the pumping because it's just doing its thing, burning its nitro, pushing the fumes out of the exhaust, pressurising the tank with a little bit extra around there, and there we go. And if you don't believe me, start up your nitro engine, take that pipe off of there. I'll take it off of there, whichever's bloody easiest. It won't come off. Take that pipe off of there and just leave it. See how long it runs for. I guarantee it'll probably run for maybe 10 or 20 seconds, and then it'll stop, because there won't be any nitro going up. It'll run on what it's got left residual in here, maybe a little bit of pipe, then it'll stop. But that's a little lesson on how nitro fuel system works. So because if you can understand how it works, then you'll understand the reason why sometimes you might not use up all of the fuel in your tank. So as I said before, if the pickup tube isn't quite all the way to the bottom, it won't work. Now on these tanks, because this is a race buggy, they're slightly different. They've got a bit of pipe that goes in there. They haven't got a pickup tube, they've got a pipe, and they've got a clunk, and that's loose, that flaps around in the bottom down there. If I get a screwdriver, I don't know how I'm going to hold it open. Don't know if I'm going to be able to do what I want to do. I want to show you that. There we go. So if I get a screwdriver, see that? That's loose in there. See? And the idea of that is, if the buggy goes upside down, the clunk then goes to the top of the tank, because the nitro will also be at the top of the tank because it'll be upside down. The clunk the fuel pipe and the clunk, the pickup essentially, is still in the fuel, so it's still going to be getting fuel, and it's still going to be running upside down, because you don't want it to conk out in the middle of the race, do you? So there we go. If the pickup isn't quite on the bottom of the tank, it won't use up all the nitro. So if you've got one of these tanks where you can't adjust it, it is what it is, I'm afraid. It's just going to be the way that it is. You're not going to be able to change it. But if you've got a tank like this one, where your pipe just goes through a hole basically. I'm not going to, because it's sealed up at the moment, but if you've got a bit of pipe like that and it's not quite long enough and it's not going to the bottom of the tank, all you got to do is push it through slightly more, and then you'll get more inside your tank, and then that way it'll be touching the bottom of the tank and you'll use up all your nitro. Happy days. Everyone's going to have a nice happy life. Anyway, you lot, hopefully that has helped you a little bit, because if this one person has got that question, he can't be the only one. There must be other people that have got the same questions, and that is the answer to it, my friends. So thanks for watching. Have a nice life, enjoy yourselves, treat people nicely, always treat people nice, always treat people how you want to be treated, and hopefully we will have a very nice happy life. Cheerio, you lot.